What is going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be working on a part 2 of the fuel system video for the GTO. If you guys missed it, we did a part 1 where we modified the stock tank and basket to accept a Walbro 525 pump, as well as modified the tank itself to accept a return style fuel system. So if you missed it, make sure to go back and check it out. And while you're there, think about subscribing and ringing the bell. It'll keep you up to date on all the videos that we put out for the Duramax, the Hellcat, and the GTO. So let's jump right into today's video. Alright guys, so you can see that we are back by the fuel tank. What we're going to be working on today is the DEATSCHWERKS Hot Wire kit for our Walbro 525 fuel pump. If you guys want to see how we mounted the fuel pump in the stock basket and how we got all of our bulkhead fittings into the stock tank, make sure to check out part 1 of this video. But the hot wire kit, what that's basically going to do is that's going to eliminate the chance of melting our stock feed wires and upgrading to a thicker gauge wire. So what we're going to be doing is splicing into our factory harness, which I've got here. I've still got to open it up, and we will be taking the power wire that would normally supply your pump with power, and we're going to actually splice the hot wire kit into that and use that as a trigger wire for our relay, so that whenever the car wants the fuel pump to be on, it's going to trip this relay, and then it will start drawing power from the actual battery and have its own standalone fuse, relay, and power source. So let's go ahead and get set up here, and we will start getting this thing wired in. So we've got our factory harness exposed here. In our case, for the GTO, this larger purple wire here, that was the power wire going to the pump. But we're going to be using it more as a switch to activate the relay. So we're going to go ahead and cut that off, and we're going to splice that into the blue wire on our DEATSCHWERKS relay here. And then this yellow wire is going to be the power wire that goes to the pump. This red wire is going to be a positive wire that goes direct to the battery. And then this black wire is going to be the chassis ground. So let's go ahead and get this cut and get our wire spliced in. We might have to extend it a little bit just so I can mount this relay where I want to mount it. But I'm going to go ahead and cut it and see where it'll reach, and we will go from there. We have now got our trigger wire ran. I spliced it in and heat shrinked everything. How much wire you guys need to add is going to be totally dependent on where you guys decide to place it. I think I'm going to place my relay maybe way back up here on this stud that's already there. Just get a nut for that. Or I might end up mounting it up on this metal here or something like that. So I left myself some extra wire just in case I wanted to move it farther away. But now we're going to go ahead and take our yellow wire, and we're going to splice that one into our power wire that goes directly to our pump. So let's decide how much wire we need for that and get this thing pretty much mocked up. Alright guys, so I've got most of it wired up here. As you can see, I used some plugs at the bulkhead fitting for the tank, because if I ever have to slide this tank out for one reason or another to change the pumps or just any issues, anything, I wanted to be able to just unplug right here and leave all my other wiring in place. So that's what I did. I used a little, one of those fancy little like hose clamp clip things, not sure what they're called, but used one of those up there, and then I'm starting to try to clean up some of this wiring right now. It looked like a complete and total mess. I should have showed you guys before we started. I mean, it looked like a complete rat's nest, but I'm starting to tape all these wires together here. So I've got down to here on this strand, and then from the relay, I've got a lot of that all taped together so far, and I'm working my way down until I get to a point where I can take and run. Let me see if I can show you here. Because we've got, the only ones that are not actually wired and hooked up right now is the power coming off of the relay for the one that goes to the battery, and then the ground coming off the relay, because we're actually relocating the battery to the trunk right here. I'm just waiting on a battery box and a few other things from Summit. So I'm going to leave those long for now, but everything else is hooked up. So I'm running the all the wires together here. I'm running my signal wire that's spliced into that harness. I'm gonna run it along this all the way back into there where you don't see it anymore, and then I'm gonna run the power and the ground wires from there forward on this same loom. So then we'll cover that all up and make it look nice, and then we'll put some loom over this as well to make this look nice, and then it'll be pretty much wrapped up. So let me go ahead and keep cleaning up this mess, and I will show you guys when we're done. Alright, it's pretty much wrapped up. So as you guys seen, we've got it wired to our bulkhead for the pump. Comes over to the relay right there. We wrapped that all up pretty nicely, and then down and ran it forward with the harness that was already there. And then it comes out to the plug that's going to plug into the factory harness for the fuel pump. The power wire is obviously disconnected out of here and ran to our relay, but we're still using this plug for the fuel level sensor and things like that. And then these wires here, we will be doing something with, but like I said, I'm waiting on the battery box, so I just left them pretty long. And I think we're gonna mount the battery right here, so we'll be able to run that where it needs to go, and then loom this up nice as well, and then run it over to the battery or grounds over here. So we're pretty much done back here. I think it came out pretty good. I'm happy with it. So I think it's time to move on to the rest of the fuel system. Alright guys, so now that I've actually got the battery hooked up and back here, make sure to check out the battery relocation video. That one is actually already up. But now that we've got the battery here, I figured I would take a quick second before uploading this video to go ahead and show you guys how we ran the other ends of that power and ground wire for the Hotwire kit. So what I did is, you can see I've got the main ground cable here with no other wires at the battery, positive cable with no other wires at the battery, just the two main cables. And what I did was ran the main ground cable back here to a riv nut, and I put the main cable to that, and then I ran our ground for the Hotwire kit to that, and then the ground for the pump comes off of that, as well as some other things. And then I ran the main cable to that lug as well, and then ran that to the front of the car, so that now not only do we get a good chassis ground out of this, but we also have a connection for our cable to go all the way to the front of the car and give anything that we may need up there a good ground as well. And then on the positive side, same thing, no wire there. I ran it from there to the circuit breaker, and then I ran our pump power off of the circuit breaker and a couple other things on the far side of the circuit breaker, so that God forbid anything ever happens, we ever have any issues, God forbid the car gets hit or anything like that. If something shorts out when the circuit breaker trips, it will kill the fuel pump and everything else on the car, so that hopefully we never have to worry about anything like that. Instead of having to scramble looking for the battery shut off or killing the key, or however we would go about killing it, it should just automatically safety shut off itself if we had any issues. Alright guys, so that's going to go ahead and wrap up today's video. This thing's coming along pretty good here. We've got a lot of stuff done. We're finally getting ready to roll it outside and do a couple final things before we fire it up for the first time and get a bass tune in it. And then of course we're gonna have to get this thing over to the dyno so that we can get this thing dialed in before we can take it out and have some real fun with it. I hope today's video could help you guys out in your build, and if it did, please think about sharing it with a family member or friend. It would really help the channel out. Also, if you're not already, please think about subscribing and ringing the bell. It'll keep you guys up to date on all the GTO, the Duramax, and the Hellcat videos. So with that being said, we will catch you on the next one.